I am Yumma Mudra, and I am going to offer a serial of videos alone and also with other people in English about Danza Duende Network. We want to create a structure of explanations about the philosophic and also about technical details of this project and of exercises, and regarding also many people who are part of the network and who are exploring this work on their own right. So I really invite all people to join in, maybe because you are interested to know about this work, maybe because you believe you could offer something to make this structure become more and more presentable and more available, because this is completely based on benevolent work, benevolent offerings, because we believe that it is very necessary nowadays to create means for people to enter deeply into their richness, their personal richness. And we also believe that working with your health, with the means of body, speech and mind, and creating more and more network of people who are able to join together with a motivation which is free from gain and free from fear of losing money or having more money, but really completely concentrated on the love for art and the love also for human qualities of taking care of the world, of taking care of life, of taking care of ourselves as being protectors of all beings, instead of maybe abusing from resources and abusing from animals, exactly the opposite. So this project has been created by myself in 2004. Since a few years I am in a permanent half retreat, so I'm mostly retired, but also communicating with the teachers and all the people that have been making this network exist. So now we are doing it in English, because maybe English is the language that more people can understand and share. But we will translate slowly all the videos, and then we will create also paperwork, books, and different materials that will come from this purpose of generating a structure of explanations by little videos on YouTube. So please come on YouTube to see these videos. It is Raji Mudra, and it is called #Masterclass Yumma. See you there. I hope you have a good, wonderful day. Hello. So this is the Masterclass Yumma. It is the number 4 of A. So just to explain to you a little bit, this is just a very simple project where I explain by small videos, not too long, all the journey and all the building of the Danza Duende Network, how it works, how are the training, what are the main fundamental training for the body, the speech and the mind, and what the project is about, why it exists, how it started to exist, all of it. So far we are planning to have 3 sections, all in English, and then from English we will see if this wakes up motivation, so that the help of people makes us able to put it in a lot of languages. And so far it's already happening, because some people are translating into French and some others are translating into Spanish, I think. So, excuse me, I forgot to put this on. It's coming. Excuse me. So, Please like our videos. Please be part of the Raji Mudra channel, so it helps the video to be at least visible for a few people, because otherwise it just disappears in so many other things. And as we are not going to do any marketing at all, if you really like this work and if you enjoy it, if you think it's valuable, if you think it helps you and maybe helps some other people, so please just like the video, talk underneath the video, and also share the video and put also the bell so that you can receive the next ones. There will be a video with more people, not only with me, but I am starting this. I'm doing step by step as my life allows me sometimes to talk. And then there will be some exercises later. So far I'm going to only talk in the beginning in the A, because the A is a little bit more like theoretical, and it is really a masterclass also, because if you don't understand the vision of the project, it's a little bit difficult to understand how this project can be manifested in so many different kind of support and kind of art and also kind of styles. So I did talk about the word dance, and I talked about the word duende, and then I talked about the word danza duende and also network. So the last thing now about this introduction, because this is an introduction, is that I think I need to share about myself and how this project started to exist, because actually it did not just come out of the blue at all. And it is the result of a very deep process. So maybe some of these things that I'm going to say, people know when they have been following the level 0 a long time ago I used to give. But anyway, in English I never did. So this is a new language for our project, to expand a little bit more through different countries. So I have been dancing since I was a child, and I always associated naturally, without really thinking about it at all, the dance to a feeling since I was a child. And this was a feeling that does not exclude anything at all about the universe. So it's like if as soon as I would start to dance, I would be a little bit like the ambassador of the whole universe. And I was lucky enough, because my family was a family that had a lot of difficult aspects to deal with. But I was alone with my mother, and she always liked art and always really appreciated very much music and artists, and she's a person who is very brilliant, so she always showed me a lot of art. And as soon as I manifested, I was 2 or 3 years old, that I wanted to be a dancer, actually she really was agreeing with that. So actually she really let me dance. So I would dance everywhere, in the supermarket, but this is really dancing everywhere, like imagine you have a child that's non-stop dancing all the time, everywhere. And as I grew up, I kept on always training my body, because I was doing classical dance. And so, my body was not exactly the way they want it to be. So you have to force, like your bones and everything to get into this this kind of format for the classical dance. But even then I was lucky, because I was with a Russian teacher who was absolutely fantastic, whose name is Irina Grzriebina. And this lady was actually a student of people like the sister of Nijinsky, and also Preobrazhensky. I think it's Preobrazhenska, excuse me. So Russian school. They had all this work that came with Diaghilev, and so they really had the classical pure dance that was practiced in Russia since a long time, and in the same time they had all the character dance, which was very beneficial for me, because the classical dance kinds of deforms completely your mind and your body. But if you have, in the same time, many things that you can learn in the same time that are different, so you're not completely like in this kind of very narrow form that is very difficult to get rid of afterwards. So actually the character dance has a lot of rhythm and a lot of dances from many countries that are other countries, from Russia to China, and from China to Turkey and Egypt. So it's very wide styles. So it's like you can move your head. There's the gypsy dances. I was very good in gypsy dances. I became a soloist when I was 12 years old. And you can like move your shoulders. So all these things you don't do in classical dance, I was already also doing them. So it gave me a broad range of physical abilities. And also Irina Grzybina, she was very charismatic, absolutely charismatic, and completely crazy, passionate about dance. She was a great master, you know, because it's a kind of person that always stays inside of you forever, you know. And actually, I really loved her. Some people felt sometimes a little bit like hurt by her means, because she was a little bit tough, but she was not that, you know, tough that is bad, with bad intention. She was just tough because she loved dance, and she didn't understand when the young girls would be too lazy, or always thinking about lovers and stupid things that are not, in her point of view, interesting when you're going to be a dancer or an artist. So she could be tough, but anyway, I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed usually having good teachers that are passionate and good-hearted, but tough. Why not? You know, it gives you a little bit of stamina. So anyway, just to say that I was lucky enough for that, so that was good. But on another hand, as I entered the company very early, this relationship I had with dance, and which I very clearly acknowledged, because when I was a child, I was very much interested about why are we on earth, why are we alive, why do people kill each other, why are there wars, where do we come from? This really started very early, like 4 years old, 5 years old. I had conversations like that about death, and about, I was already a little bit like a kind of a Buddhist oriented mind before I met Buddhism. And so when I danced, I really could experience something that was very deep and precious and important, that I considered as a child as what dance was for me. So dance for me was not only this thing that you want to be on a show and to have a public that likes to look at how beautiful you are, you know, when you're a young girl. I was only 3, 4, 5 at the beginning in the United States. And then after, it was in Paris when I got to 8, 9 years old with Irina Grzybina. So it's not only about showing yourself. I had this feeling that the dance for me was essential about why I was on earth, why I really existed somehow physically. For me, this made all sense of existence. So as I started to be professional very early, at 12, 13 years old, I was already very grown up. I already really looked like a woman, and I was quite gorgeous. So it was also a problem, because men didn't understand that I was a young girl. They thought I was a woman, and so that was a little bit very much problematic for me. Excuse me, this is a problem with my computer. I hope it doesn't happen anymore. You just give me a little moment, that I'm going to take away this thing that happens, so it doesn't happen anymore. I hope so. Okay, so that should be okay. I hope so. And so I really loved to go on a tournée. We had a lot of musicians. We were a great company, very big company, like 20 to 40 persons, you know. And I was very professional and very enjoying that. but I started to feel something bad about it. I started to feel that people, like women, were jealous of me and men were running after me. And then the dance itself was becoming a little bit like something that you're doing, like if you have to do like this, and then the public, and then all these things started to be very far from my first motivation. Wait, I'm going to switch off a few things. Excuse me. It's because I'm trying to tape with the computer, and I'm not sure it was such a good idea, but anyway, here we are. I hope it's going to work. Yeah. Once more. Anyway. Anyway, no problem. You get used to this non-professional style of mine, or maybe you don't. I don't care anyway. I do my best. So I was just saying that. So I really acknowledge that at one point for me that dance professional path was becoming something that was so far away of what I felt inside of my heart, and actually the whole world was becoming something that was very much divided, between what I felt was so beautiful and wonderful and full of love and all that, and outside was always people fighting or problems, or on the TV, wars, the Vietnam War, all these things, And so I had a little bit of a crisis, and also there was problems in my family. So actually I left home very early. I was 14 years old, and I also left dance at that moment. And later I entered a Buddhist community. When I was a little bit like 17, 18, I started to get interested in Buddhism. And I felt that what I was studying with the Buddhism, which I took extremely seriously, because it was the first time that it seems that thing mysterious that I felt when I danced inside of my heart was actually something true, something valuable, something that millions of people since the memory of the beginning of all times were practicing and given to each other. Because for me, Buddhism was the first time that I really met, and I was looking for that. I did seriously check a lot of different schools from different religions. But with Buddhism, I really found that I was given the means and the tools to work on myself as I felt I wanted to work on myself, because I didn't want anymore this division of how I felt the wonder of a mysterious place in my heart that's always present. And specifically when I dance, it opens, suddenly. And the dichotomy with the daily life, which in Buddhism actually has a name, this dichotomy that you work on it, the relative truth and the absolute truth. So this is why I'm talking about myself, is that at one point, if you want to understand this project, you have to understand this point of view, that in this case, we are taking the dance and the duende as a process that is giving the core motivation to that treasure that is in human being. So this is the treasure, this is the richness, this is everything. And so it's not that much that you have to dance in a certain way or a certain style. It is more that you are creating slowly, taking your time to creating a circumstance in which your body, your speech, and your mind are prepared to enter the dance as you enter the temple of the mandala, as you enter in your own heart. And this is what you're trying, if you're an artist, a professional artist on stage, this is what you're trying to give birth to, that maybe the public can feel that. So, of course, it doesn't mean that all the things we're going to create in dance are always going to be joyful and beautiful, because it's part of art that you use also drama, and you use all parts of your existence, of your challenges in this art. Because there is a drive for an artist, there's a drive for unknown, and this drive for unknown in the Danza Duende Network became slowly something that we want to allow ourselves, and in the same time we want to stay rooted in sanity, you see. So when I started to train in the Buddhism, actually my master asked me not to dance for a few years. And I understand very well why he asked me that. And I am absolutely sure this was a good thing to do, because I became virgin again. And it was not for a very long time, actually. I think I stopped only 1 year or two. And then suddenly, at a moment, I was absolutely not expecting that. He told me, "What are you going to dance tomorrow?" There was a little feast, you know. We do these celebrations in the Tibetan Buddhism. We do celebrations with food and prayers. It's like, in the same time, it's like a ritual, but in the same time, it's very joyful, and you can also dance and sing and do different things. So it can become really like a big feast. And I said, "I don't know." Come on, they asked me what to dance. I didn't dance anymore. And then I got a little bit blank, you know, when your mind gets blank like that. And I went back to see him again after that blankness. And I said, "Well, give me a music." And then it was very interesting, because he gave me a music that became very important for my whole life, because it was Sufi music. And actually, the Sufi poetry and the Sufi music entered into my dance that day, and it became extremely important. But when I received that music, I remember it was Kutsi Erguner. He's Turkish musician who lives in France, and is a master of Sufism. And so I really got that music. I had no idea what that was, you know. I had no preconceptual opinions about that. And so I really listened to that music, and I danced on that music as I could dance. I didn't know how to dance that, because, you know, when you are trained to dance a certain way, it's like musician or all artists, they put you in a certain form. At that time it was like that. Maybe nowadays there's a little bit more sense of freedom in training, not always, but anyway. Because my whole point actually is, how can you join really training and technique? I really don't reject technique. This is what I think is very important, that dance should not become a thing that you just do what you want, because then what do you do about technique? It's so important. But the technique should not limit you. It should open your mind all the time, open your heart, make you become more and more beginner, so that you can always restart again. And so I had no idea about what is Sufism, what is. They don't even dance that. Maybe whirling, but anyway, I whirl since I'm a kid. So I used to go down my stairs whirling 6 floors, you know. So I had no problem with whirling. First time I entered a Sufi ceremony, I whirled 6 hours, no problem, you know, because I was born like that. Nobody told me, don't spin, you're going to get sick, and all these things they tell to children. So actually, if you let children spin, they spin. You know, they have absolutely no problem. They don't get sick. It's a way of training your wisdom, because we have instinct as a child to find ways to understand the universe and to play with the perceptions. I mean, the absolute truth is what you feel, that has no form, and the perceptions is all these variety of phenomena, which you can take as a playful knowledge, that you try to make it open your mind more and more, instead of getting old and closed, you know. And the dance is very good for that, because that's what children do. They move to learn. And so I danced, and then I just entered that music. That music is amazing, because it is very, very deep music, very simple. The rhythm are usually not, in this kind of Sufi music, the musics are not usually too quick, too slow. So there's a little bit like a dynamic. In the same time, it's really calm. So you can really feel calmness in the same time that you feel really dynamic, and the pulsation of that music. And so then people were there, there's people, all this Buddhist group, maybe, I don't know, 100 people, something like that maybe. And then, wow, this is so wonderful. And then the master said, you are so gifted, you have to dance all the time. So I went from forbidden to dance to I have to dance every day. And so I started to dance in retreat. And when you dance in retreat, there is something very different from what people usually do, is that nobody's going to look at you. And I was not worried about that because I got a little bit used to retreat. Actually, I liked it because I started to feel that I was very happy in retreat, because in retreat there was not that much division, no, between outer world and inner world. It was much more like the same thing. So I really enjoyed retreat. So dancing in the retreat became a way of practicing Dharma. So for me, dance is Dharma. And of course, Danza Duende is not a Buddhist training, but it is full of course, of my experience. And it is also full of exercises that come from very serious spiritual art in general, and particularly from the Tantra, the Vajrayana, and particularly from Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche's Dharma art. So this is something I really wanted to talk about because it's important to understand that. The Danza Duende trainings are not related directly to some kind of a religious institution or school whatsoever, because I always wanted that space to be open to all kind of people, to all kind of believe, not believe, whatever it is. Because we experience the things directly on the spot, and then we acknowledge what is it we experienced, and then we find exactly the same things. Actually, we find this generosity. If I give an example of the Buddhism, no, if you talk about paramita, we find the generosity, and actually we find what it means if we really put our mind into what is what happens to you when you're experiencing something that is completely open and at the same time free, and you create that situation in which you are challenged. And you find out the qualities like generosity are already in the group. It's something, it's what makes the group rich. So the richness of generosity is the truth. It's not something that you have to believe in. It's something that is true. And all of the things that are about paramita, like morality in paramita, it's not so much that you believe in moral, it's more that you respect the environment in which you are at a certain point as much as you can, you know, like if that person that you are with does not understand that if you do a certain thing, maybe that thing for you, from your point of view of where you come from, it's not important, but from their point of view, it's very difficult. I can give you an example, like Chinese and Asiatic people, they don't care about making noise when they eat because it's actually something that is part of culture to do that. And then you have in Christian culture, they started to have a lot of rules about making noise with your mouth, not making noise, and then you can't do this, you can't do that. And so all these things are what a Buddhist would say is moral. But if you take it into a dance room, it's actually like not hurting other people and being careful that maybe you if you're moving around, you're not going to step on somebody, or you're not going to kick somebody, or maybe you're not going to sneeze on somebody. So this is the moral part, which is an attitude of respect and dignity, which is completely something that we need, because it's what makes us brilliant. This is what makes us feel worthy. Yeah. Okay. So this is very important. So that's the second paramita. And I really worked a little bit like that, not in the sense of teaching to people about paramita, but in the sense of sorting out the existence of paramita. It's an example, right? Inside of what we are experiencing. So if I just finish what the paramita are about, so you can go to patience. Patience is obvious. Patience is so obvious. And as a teacher, you're always like working with how enthusiasm makes this patience easier, and enthusiasm is the next one, you know. So it's how do you put love and joy and pleasure into the fact that what you are doing is worthy. So this is everything that is going to build a body and a mind and a speech of somebody who is getting free of what is not needed, and at the same time is really relying on the worthiness of the process, because the main point for this artist who is going to be a dancer is actually this gift of the dance, how the dance is unique at that moment. It's not something you can catch. It's not something that you can put in a box. That's why it's really an art that has a very difficult time on this kind of world now where everything is about money, and because dance is not, you cannot catch it. You cannot stop it. You can do nothing. It's not something that you can touch. It just gets inside of you and gets out of you and goes in somebody else. So it's like if you let enter the dance inside of you, and when the dance enters inside of you, you give that relationship you're having with the magic of life. If you're able to make it be communicated with people. And so that's the whole process of the many ways you can find to make people get interested into different aspects of this wonderful thing that you feel about the universe of life. And so enthusiasts, that was the fourth one. And then, of course, next comes concentration. And concentration, oh, come on, if you're a dancer, that's what you really need, you know, because dance is one of the most difficult things. You are dealing with everything. You're dealing with music, with rhythm, with melody, with maybe even you're using the rhythm and the melody, but you're out of it in the same time, with images, with form, with volume, with weight, with how anatomic, with medicine somehow, because also in my point of view, you don't want to get hurt. It's much more interesting if you can take care of your body at the same time. So your breath, what else? It's architecture, because you need to understand about geometric, because if you want to improvise in a way that becomes a composition that is happening on the spot of your dance, you really need that your brain gets rid of whatever is not needed, and that comes inside of your brain some kind of a sacred world that is always there. So it's very easy to be natural inside of that sacred world, because you have it like a second nature of yours. The crystallization of form. So that's mandala, of course. So crystallization is really existing. This is what is like the snow becomes a crystal, the water is a crystal, the blood, everything has this form that is more harmonious or chaotic. So this is where the emotions, so you have to work with emotion, because you're going through all this, the fringes, no, of how the harmony becomes not harmony. How is it that the emotion goes into suffering? So you're working also with this dimension, no, of how these different senses of the state of feeling, they get out of this core nature that is so happy and so beautiful and so pristine, and it goes into this hell and all these strange places that human beings, we are kind of collecting, no? Wars, everything. And you understand that as a dancer, you can really develop a lot of skills that are actually inside of many different techniques in the human civilization. It's overwhelming at one point when I say that, but it's not overwhelming when you live that, because you go step by step. I'm now, you know, I have this age I have, so I can talk about it, but at that moment, you go step by step. So at one point when I started again to get in the world much later, and I had this experience of dancing alone in my retreat. I started to try to find what could I do to earn some money, because I didn't earn money all these years. And then I did this and that. I actually worked as a producer. And then I found out that actually I was not happy as a producer, even though I was very successful, actually. It was really working out very well. But I was not liking that job. I felt nervous, and I was getting a little bit, like neurotic with that, because I was good at it, because I was obsessed with it. I suppose that's how I am. I get obsessed with whatever I'm involving with. When I involve myself into it, I give my heart to it. So it was too much. And then actually I ended up dancing again. And then came that thing that I was alone, a woman dancing. So I got orientated by some friends to the idea of working with Oriental dance. And then I thought it was really interesting, because it was very different from everything I knew. I was quite good at martial art and yoga and Qigong. And so the Oriental dance was something that was very interesting for me, because it started to be another way of thinking the body, of thinking space, of thinking music, thinking everything. And I had a lot of experience. So it was also interesting to see that even though I had so much experience, suddenly in that case, I had to go back inside, because it works much more inside the body than outside the body. So that was really, really very interesting, because it started to pop up. And this is also something that came to me slowly. It was not at that fashion, to talk about the feminine, or to talk about feminine and masculine, at least not where I was living. And I started to discover that I had a man and a woman inside of me, working together or not working together, And then as soon as I started to understand that, I really worked on making them go along together. But it takes a long time that it really manifests outside, that you can also go along with a real man, So that's the whole process. It becomes very amazing, because the work you're doing with art starts to be a work that completely changes your life if you work on it that way. And that's what happened to me. Mm-hmm. It happened to me really as a technique, because that's what I do. I change my life with art, and I do it on purpose. And sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, because sometimes I was not expecting that the change would be such an crazy, completely upside down thing that puts my head down and my feet up. But yes, that's what happens. You put something on your path, and if that something on your path is really heartfelt, and you create around that thing, imagine, it could be, in my case, with the Dakini, wisdom Dakini. The wisdom Dakini is just going to brush away everything that's not wisdom, and that means you're going to have to accept that you asked for it. And as you ask for it, you get it, And it doesn't mean that everything is pink and easy, and no, not at all. Because if wisdom would be that cup of tea that all human beings appreciate so much, we would not have so much conflicts and so much jealousy and so much murdering and robbing, and always thinking about money nowadays. I don't know, 30 years ago, you would go to India, the children wouldn't say money all the time. Now, yes, you go to India in the village and you have these children, money, money, money. That's the way it is. And so it means that when you're working with wisdom, and this is the last paramita after this concentration happened. I know, I talk of a lot of things, but I don't lose the string. So just catch the string back if you lost it. This is the way it is. The wisdom is the last paramita. It's prajna paramita. So you see, the whole process is not that it's exactly that you put it a Buddhist in a kind of a dancing way. It's not that. It's that inside the experience of humankind, and dancing is very human. It's so human, the dance. Like children do it very early, as soon as they can, they start. Dance is also theater. Dance is everything you do, if you take it with that mindset. So you discover that all these things that were called dharma, mind training, love, compassion, wisdom, and the opposite, of course, and the opposite. Actually, that's the truth. It's just happening. It's just there. You know, you just need to, like we need to learn how to cook. Now, when you start to cook, there's a few things you have to know. Like making mayonnaise is not something that you can, you know, if somebody teaches you, it's much better. Because it's not really easy to make mayonnaise if you don't know how to do it, you know. Of course, it was discovered by somebody at some point, no? Somebody discovered that thing, and that thing became transmitted. Like maybe the first person who made a mayonnaise was not expecting that it would happen. Put that oil in the yellow of the egg, gem, and then the egg, and if you put it slowly, it becomes mayonnaise. That first person discovered. But if you just take eggs and oil, and or even don't even know how to make mayonnaise, it's not easy to guess. So the whole thing is like that. That's what transmission is. That's what a community is. That's what the Danza Duende as a network is. So as a network, there is a place where you find help in diversity, where you find help in this world that is always proposing many things. And at one point, maybe you get really confused, you know, because you cannot different spiritualities and think that that's going to be so easy in your body, in your mind. It's not possible. But when you go back to the nature of yourself, the nature of your body, the nature of your mind, the nature of your dance, and the nature of music, when you go back to its nature, all the time coming back to this beginning nature of things, so there you find the common energy of all human beings and all cultures and all art, everything. And so there, from there, you can go into a style, or you can go into a country, or you can go into different phenomena and manifestations. But you don't get lost, because you need to be rooted in this core nature, which is earthy, has the quality of earth, but is actually space itself, space awareness. So this is how the Danza Duende Network started to be completely structured and built on experiences that bring together and not separate anymore what we call inside of me, and what we call the whole world, even the whole universe. And it's not at all conceptual. It is not a belief. It is something you experience. And so all the techniques and all the structures and all the explanations are only to give a place safe for people to work with that. But then they have to work on it, and they have to take whatever comes as their own teaching. So, of course, as I will get into Sector B, and as I will start to explain about tools, how they work, how you do them, where they come from. Maybe I won't explain all of it, but basic ones, yes. So this is where inside of that tool, and the tools are really very, the tools are not formula. I'm not going to tell you you have to do this and do that. It's always a structure that makes your body, speech, and mind get into a situation inside of which you must go for it by yourself, and then with other people. Of course, by yourself is so important, because this is what allows you to meet somebody else and to not lean on the person neither let that person lean upon you too much, so that the two of you can get to the point of where both of you naturally find the third quality, which is how there is also a birth in the meeting of people and things. No, everything that gets along with something else gives birth to something. It's just the nature of things. You know, they come together, they give birth to something, and then that something gives birth to something, and then slowly it decays and dies. It's always like that. Everything is like that. We are like that. We are made of many people inside of us, no, and before us and after us. But the whole thing is here and now. So you need this root, this mind awareness into a spacious quality of freedom and of openness that allows you to stay in sanity as you go into all the crazy kind of things that can wake up on the path. Mm-hmm. So maybe I don't need to talk too much about this. I mean, maybe it's not needed to explain more about it. I think this will be enough for today. I really apologize if my video, I wanted to use the computer, and I think my video is going to be a little bit weird. But anyway, if you can listen to what I said, just close your eyes. I will probably also use these videos as podcasts. So what I said, I suppose, is useful. And then the next videos will start to enter into explaining more technically how the network is built as a philosophic, and then later how the trainings are built. Thank you very much. Take care.